what are some of the real and rumored weight changes this college wrestling season? So some of these are rumored to be weight changes by Intermat, in other internet forums, and some of them are actually legitimate, like they are actually happening, and I'll tell you which ones are actually happening, which ones aren't happening. But I first want to tell you that this segment is brought to you by channel member Brian Frey, who just joined the Fanco Wrestling Patreon community and is helping to financially support Fanco Wrestling. I want to say thank you to Brian and all of those who are helping to support Fanco Wrestling. A great way also is, if you're watching the show live, if you join the YouTube channel member, you can actually join live with some custom emojis just for 99 cents, which is kind of cool. So, about these weight changes, Sebastian Rivera, and we're going to go down from lightweights all the way to heavyweights, although, I mean, heavyweight, I don't think there's anybody dropping down, so spoiler alert. Sebastian Rivera dropping from 141 to 133. This is a rumored one. I haven't necessarily seen this confirmed anywhere yet, but I've seen this on Intermat in his rankings. This is where Sebastian Rivera is at 133 pounds in Intermat's rankings. Now, what's so exciting about this is Sebastian Rivera is a 3-time All-American, and he kind of struggled a bit at 141 last season. I mean, he still had a great season, but he just wasn't able to get over the hump with Nick Lee and kind of ended the season off not so great with a loss to Tariq Wilson, even though he was an All-American at the end of the day. I don't necessarily know if he was big enough for 141 pounds, so I think that's why we're going to see him potentially drop down to 133. Now, listen, I still think he can do a great job at 141 if that's where he decides to stay, but the exciting part is the last time Sebastian Rivera was at 133 pounds, remember what happened? He beat Roman Bravo Young. Now, RBY was not a national champ at the time, but he was in the Big Ten championships, ended up losing to Seabass, and that was huge. And then he ended up bumping up. So, I mean, Sebastian Rivera is known as an upset machine, and I'm excited to see whether he goes 133 or 141. The next guy here is Austin Gomez. Now, Gomez, there's a couple things going on with this guy. So, Gomez is going from 133 all the way up to 149 is kind of what is rumored to be at. Last season that he wrestled was actually in 2019. So 2019 was the last time he wrestled, and that was at 133. And I'll get to all that, but not only is Gomez going to be changing weights from 33 to 49, but he's also changing schools from Iowa State to Wisconsin. Now, he's already at Wisconsin, training with Wisconsin, but the exciting thing here with Gomez changing weights, I mean, when he was at 33, remember that season for Gomez? Maybe you don't. Let me kind of recap some of the stuff that happened. Now, he had some close matches with Dayton Fix, who ended up winning, or ended up making the national finals that year, He pinned Rome Bravo Young at the scuffle. He beat Austin DeSanto, and his season didn't necessarily end up great, but he did make the blood round at NCAAs, and I'm pumped to see where Gomez goes as he is changing weights. The next guy is somebody who has been rumored to change weights for the last couple of seasons, but finally he's back on the mat. He hasn't wrestled since 2019, just like Gomez, and that's Yanni D. Yanni D going from 41 to 49. He was already rumored to be bumping up last season. He's probably going to be bumping up this season to 49, and the 2-time national champion, I'm pumped to see. He is going to be seeking his 3rd title this year, and in general, I truly believe that Yanni can be a 4-timer. I said that honestly, even before he won his first NCAA title, but when that happened, bumping up to 49 will be interesting, because at 49, you have the former NCAA champion, last year's NCAA champion, Austin O'Connor, who is actually bumping up. So the other guys that are still there, Sammy Sasso, Tariq Wilson, Yanni's only loss is to Ironman, and that was at a lower weight at 41, and Ironman's not going to be bumping up, at least unless something else crazy happens, which I don't expect. But I'll get to O'Connor in a second. But Tariq Wilson from 41 to 49. Now, he was pretty big at 41. I mean, he was able to beat Sebastian Rivera. That was a huge match for him at the end of the year. Ended up coming back, taking 3rd in the consies, multiple-time All-American, and he's currently number 3 at 149. Even though he is bumping up, he's number 3 at the weight. His sleek style, I'll be interested to see how he does against a Yanni or a Sammy Sasso, or to be honest with you, even like a Yaya Thomas, how Tariq Wilson's style is going to match up against those guys just because of he's so darn tall and lanky. And the next guy is Austin OConnor. I already mentioned him. From 41 to 57 is where he's bumping up. He's the only national champion bumping up a weight class. All the national champions are returning from last season, but OConnor is the only guy to be bumping up. I'm pumped to see him and David Carr go head-to-head this season. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to see it just yet, but I tell you, I'm pumped that we are. O'Connor's somebody who, to be honest, has kind of like just slid under people's radars just because he doesn't necessarily wrestle the best of the best competition. He hasn't, I mean, even last season, he wasn't even able to wrestle everybody out there, but just because of how the schedules were with the shortened season. But he's also just kind of a nonchalant kind of guy, nonchalant kind of wrestler. Doesn't do anything crazy. He's just able to go out there and win, just like his finals match against Sammy Sasso. He was 13-0 last year, though, and 25-1 the year before that. So seeing him bump up a weight, what does he have to lose bumping up a weight? He's already has a national title. Why not bump up a weight and cut less weight and see what he can do there? And the other guy, wow, somebody else bumping up from 57 all the way up to 174 pounds is Hayden Heidly. Heidly is pulling a Kemmerer who did the same exact thing a couple of years ago from 57 to 74. And what happened this year? Kemmerer made the NCAA finals. So is Heidly able to do the same exact thing this year? Remember, Heidly's a 3-time All-American, and he wants back in the finals. He wasn't able to do it the last couple of years at 157 pounds. So, heck, why not bump up to 174? He's somebody else, just like Austin OConnor, nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. He had a loss to Nolf in the finals, and then the following year in the semis. And unfortunately, this past season just didn't quite go the way he planned at the end of the year. He lost in the championship rounds, ended up making it to the semi or in the consies, and then just didn't go quite well with his matches against Teamer and so on and so forth. But he's going after that ACC title, could be the 5-time ACC champion, and I'm pumped to see him get it. A rumored weight change, so Austin OConnor is bumping up, Tariq Wilson is bumping up, Hayden Heidly is bumping up. Another rumored weight change is Shane Griffith. Is he going to 65? Is he going to 74? This isn't necessarily reported by Intermat, but I've seen it on some forums. I've seen people talking about this. We're still not sure exactly where he's going to go. We know he's coming back to Stanford, and he is training at Stanford, obviously. But would it help the team? I don't know. I think this should just be kind of his own prerogative, whether he wants to go up to 74. But I don't see a reason why. It seems like to be honest, I think 74 is one of the toughest weight classes this season. I haven't done my full analysis, but just at a glance, 74 is tough. Even tougher opponents, I think, than possibly 65. At 65, you're still going to have some tough guys like Alex Marinelli, who did beat at NCAAs, but he's also training with Vincenzo Joseph now in the room, and I think that could maybe add some different things to his arsenal, some different tricks to his arsenal that could even help Shane Griffith. Mikai Lewis is bumping up, apparently, from 65 to 74. Round of 12, he made the round of 12 last year, but he was injured, and it was just such a shame to see because Mikai, NCAA champion, had the potential to make the finals last year at 165. He truly did, and I really wanted to see the healthy Shane Griffith and Mikai Lewis match last year. I don't know if we're ever going to see that, but he's still a force to be reckoned with. And it's going to be tough this year at 74. Like I said, Storaci, Kemmerer, Labriola, Massa, Heidly, so many guys at 74, and that's just the guys up top. Then you get the guys below that who are even just studs in themselves, which I'm pumped to see what happens there with Mikai bumping up to 74. And Miles Amin is somebody who's going from 197 down to 184. And I think this is a good move. This is what he appears to be doing by Intermat. Now, he's moving down to 184, I think, really to help the team. Now, Pat Bruckey is going to be able to drop into 197 pretty nicely. I think that's going to be great for the team. Amin coming back as an Olympic bronze medalist is something else not too shabby that's going to help. And being a 3-time All-American at 174, one time at 197, why not do it at 184 pounds now? His highest placing that he's ever had is 3rd, so he couldn't get it done at 74, couldn't get it done at 97. So is 184 the place for him? I think it could be. I think that this is going to be a major impact at 184 pounds with Brooks, with Trent Hiley. And Miles Amin's going to be a tough force. Now, of course, it didn't necessarily work out how we wanted to this year with AJ Ferrari, and he's somebody else who is maybe planning to go up to heavyweight. And I'll be honest with you, probably after Gable Steveson made his announcement that he's coming back to college, AJ Ferrari was like, no thanks. I don't want to go up to heavyweight. I'd rather stay at 197. I would love to see that match, whether it's some sort of super match scenario, whether it's at a tournament, he decides, I don't know. But I think AJ Ferrari staying down at 197. If you're looking for rankings for every single conference before the season gets here, you're going to want to check out this resource right here. This will take you to a page where you can download my Fanco Wrestling rankings for free. That's all 78 D1 teams, every single conference, whether you support Big Ten, Pac-12, ACC, you're going to get little tidbits of information and the rankings you need to know before the season gets here. You can check that out for free right here.